Hi guys, Dr. Hiro here. I've been getting many messages from people that they want to become doctors and practice medicine in overseas countries using the English language. So I'm still a junior doctor, still learning how to become a good one, so I can't really give you good advice on that subject. However, I can give you some advice on how to become a bad doctor using the Google memes here, and then we can go through them and I can tell you what not to do to people as a doctor. Let's get into them. Okay, let's go through a first meme together. It's going to be a conversation between doctor and patient. Some are really horrible, but you can learn what not to do as a doctor or what not to say in English language. Alright, looks like you're pregnant. I am pregnant? No, it just looks like you are. We never say that in a clinical setting, but you know, this can happen between friends, like, oh, you're pregnant, and you say, no, I'm not, and awkward silence happens for like 2 minutes or so. This is quite a common thing, I guess, in developed countries where obesity is rampant. So obesity is predicted to be a huge problem in Australia, where I live. I think some data showed about 60% of Australian people will be obese in 2013 or so. It's a big problem. The obesity increases the risk of heart disease and hormone problems, including polycystic ovarian syndrome. You might have heard polycystic ovarian syndrome, in which ladies developing hairs on the skin and body and becoming infertile because of the conditions. People become a bit, self-conscious, and then they don't want to go outside and exercise. So it induces this vicious cycle that because you don't go outside and exercise, you just sit and eat and then become more obese, and this vicious cycle continues on. Anyway, moving on. I wish I could help you, Sarah, but I'm a family doctor. You know. He's a bad doctor. He's a very bad doctor. An orphan is basically a child who's been separated from the biological parents for some reasons, and he says he can't treat this patient because he's a family doctor. Family doctor in Australia is called general practitioner, and it's a very privileged doctor because they get to see patients from really young age and sometimes until they die. It's a very privileged profession to be able to see patients for that long and get to know them really well. I think it's one of the probably most satisfying jobs that are existing in this whole world. I'm interested in GP, but I'm not going to say that to my child patient. Your dad is not here with us anymore. Oh damn. He's at a different hospital. Oh, okay. Doctor. Dead though. Look at his facial expression. Just speaking the fact to you. As people say, silence is gold. At least sometimes. You don't have to tell everything you know to people, especially to patients. Silence can be a gold. Remember that. I will need to send you to a specialist. This is very common. Here's a brochure. Me. This is from a funeral home. Doctor, exactly. In Australia, at least, doctor refers a patient to another specialist, and we just say that, and we give brochure sometimes. But basically, same as the last one. This meme is about death, and people seem to have some attitudes towards the death. And the last one and this one, basically, people try to have fun make a joke out of it. Maybe that's our defense mechanisms to deny the gravity of death and immortality. You need to take one of these pills every day for the rest of your life. But there is only 3 pills, doctor. Exactly. Are you sexually active? A very common question. We ask to patients that kind of question very often. Old man, yes. That's disgusting. Doctors never, we never pass on a judgment on people's sexual activity like that. But we do ask questions about sex because it's very important for us to understand what they do in order to, for us to figure out what kind of medical conditions they might be at the risk of having or developing. So we do ask those questions. Performs life-saving 12-hour surgery. Patient thanks God. As far as I know, the surgeons train so many hours, so many years to perfect their skills, and they should get the credits at least. They work long hours, and they are very, very honorable people. Tell your dad I said hi, but he's dead. I know. Look at a child's face. He has this disbelieving face. At least, doctor believes that there is somewhere out there after death, and they can reunite. Leave some hope. You know how they say time is money? Yeah, you broke. Well, for those who learn in English, you should be able to identify what the grammatical areas. But many people actually make this mistake in writing, but you shouldn't be making that mistake. Your husband is very sick. Oh my god, no. Sick of your shit. High fives, guy. Sorry, wife. Good news and bad news. Good first. You're gonna lose 50 pounds. And bad? 50 pounds worth of legs. I can actually see this old guy, looking very grumpy. Doctor said that. By the way, this good news and bad news, it's a very common way of people to have a conversation or start up the conversation, and just quite a good one. So if you, with your friends, use that phrase, but don't use that in this way. I have to inform you, there is only 50% of surviving this procedure. Let's do it twice then! High five! Oh kid, what if the first one is not successful? Think about it. How much time do I have? 10. 10 what? 9. Oh, he's a time bomb! Well, we can't do that. We can't really do that. We can't predict the timing of death as precisely as that. But it's quite funny. Want the good news or the bad news first? As I said, this is a very, very common way of striking up a conversation. Good news, please, doctor. Well, they're naming a disease after you. And a big smile. When I was a medical student, I had a hard time remembering the name of the disease. Probably you have heard Alzheimer's disease. If you have no idea what the medical condition entails, then remembering the name of the doctor or the Alzheimer's disease means nothing to you. For example, Takayasu vasculitis, probably that means nothing to you. Or Graves' disease, it means nothing to you. As a medical student, people, or including myself, I wanted to understand what that condition entails so that I can actually remember. Because remembering doctor's name is one thing, and remembering the medical condition, what that involves is two different things. So if you can just isolate remembering the medical condition, that's easier. On top of that, if you have to remember the doctor's name, it creates confusion. Frankly, we should stop doing that. We should be describing the disease as it is rather than using the doctor who has discovered the medical condition. Me as a doctor, what seems to be the problem, Mary? it hurts when I do this, then don't do that. As a doctor, I do very similar things in a hospital. For example, if someone has, heavy cigarette smoking habit, basically I tell them not to smoke because smoking increases risk of many conditions. I'm not going to name them all, there are too many. And this is basically what I tell patients to do or not to do. Don't smoke. Or alcohol problem, they drink a lot and come with a liver problem, for example. And one way to prevent or reduce the severity of the medical condition is basically we tell them not to do that, patients not to do that. Well, yes, see doc, the problem is obesity runs in my family. No, the problem is nobody runs in your family. For English learners, understand this? I hope you do. If you don't understand it, please explain it in the comment section so that others can actually understand what this joke is about. Doc, my back hurts when I wake up in the morning. Wake up in the afternoon then. This is very similar to what I said. So if when patient complains of something happens in certain time, and it's kind of using your critical thinking to avoid a problem, you do something differently, and that might solve the problem. But this is not a good way to deal with the patient's complaint. It's exactly what I was afraid of. What? Skeletons. That's quite funny. There are so many doctors who don't like looking at blood, for example. It's not unreasonable to think there are doctors who don't like skeletons. They shouldn't be orthopedic surgeons, in my opinion. Doctors are still human beings. We've got some quirks and there's some strengths and weakness. So this is not reasonable thing to observe in a real reality. Really rare though. Sir, it looks like your wife has been hit by a truck. I know, but she has a great personality. By the way, do you understand this joke? If you don't understand, help others to understand what this joke is about down below in the comments. Help others learn English. What's your zodiac sign? Cancer? What a coincidence. Savage. Everyone's smiling. This is very savage. Doctor, are the results of the test ready? I'm dying from curiosity. Not from your curiosity. This guy has thug life face. The test came back very positive. Woohoo! HIV positive. HIV causes AIDS, acquired immunodeficiency syndrome. People used to dread the prospect of having AIDS or HIV. It can result in the diminished mortality, but nowadays people with HIV can live normal life thanks to medical advancements. Thank you guys for doing the medical research. Thank you very much. Will I be okay, Doc? I doubt it. Mercury is in Uranus right now. I don't do that astrology stuff. Me neither. My thermometer just broke. Oh, classic. Oh my god. When I was reading this line, this one, Mercury is in Uranus, I thought he's talking about astrology stuff. But it's actually not. Mercury is, of course, the planet, but also it means the chemical, okay? Chemical element. And mercury is used in some thermometers to measure body temperature. And this is funny because Uranus is actually two words. I'll let you think about it. Those who understood this joke, please explain this down in the comments so that others can understand why this joke is quite funny. It is really funny. Okay, it was Dr. Hero looking at some doctor memes on the Google search. Some are very, very good, interesting and funny. doctors and nurses and other health professionals work in very, very serious environments, and it can be quite depressing. So we need to have some fun in life. We need to develop some sense of humor in order to cope with the serious situations and environment. And we never make fun of patients, but sometimes we need to look at the situation from a different angle so that we can actually cope with the depressing environment. And one of ways to do that is to come up with the jokes. I hope you had fun, and then for those who are learning English and want to become doctors, I hope you learned some ways not to do as a doctor. I hope you never do this kind of stuff to the patients, especially the last one. Alright, anyway, this was me, Dr. Hero. I hope you had fun. Bye.